Welcome to the Startup of the Year podcast, where each episode we showcase exciting new companies from around the world. This podcast is produced by Established, creators of the Startup of the Year program. Established is focused on helping organizations with their innovation, startup, and communication strategies.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Startup of the Year podcast. I'm Frank Gruber, the co-CEO of Established, and also your host. On this episode, I want to catch up with Dawn Dickson-Akpoghene. She's the founder and CEO of PopCom. It's a relatively new startup, but first, I actually met Dawn at her previous company when she came through the Startup of the Year program many moons ago, back in 2014. She had a company called Flat Out of Heels, and she did phenomenal at the competition. She finished in third out of hundreds of companies and left a real great impression in my mind as well. So her new company, though, is called PopCom, as I mentioned, and they're developing software to help make kiosks and vending machines intelligent through data and analytics at the point of purchase. So if you think about it, in general, vending machines are not super smart. You put your money or card in and purchase something. Well, she's actually adding facial recognition, AI, and leveraging blockchain technology to help retailers collect valuable customer insights that, could then be used later to continue to build relationships with those customers. So pretty cool product. Hope you can check it out. You can actually go to popcom.shop to learn more. Before we do jump in with that interview, though, I want to ask our team members from our established team to share some words of advice. So first up, let's hear it for Rich Maloy from Established Ventures. He's going to share some insights for startup founders with the VC Minute.
Hi, this is Rich Maloy with Established Ventures, bringing you the VC Minute. Quick advice to help startup founders fundraise better. Let's talk about the right target amount for your fundraise. The amount you're telling investors you want to raise is too high. This is one of the most common pieces of advice I give to founders, and one of the most consistent mistakes I see founders make. And it is completely counterintuitive. You actually want to set your fundraising target slightly lower than what you want to hit. If you told me you were raising $1 million and had $400K committed, I'm thinking you're only 40% of the way there, and I have plenty of time to sit on the sidelines, so I'm leaning back. If you told me you're raising $750K and have $400K committed, now I'm engaged and leaning in. You're more than halfway there. You may fill out the round, and if I want to hit my target check size, I need to move quickly. Now, there's a lot more to this advice than I can squeeze into this short segment, but the lesson here is that you want to be able to say this magic word to investors: oversubscribed. And you get there by having both a lowball target and high interest. And then you get to tell investors that your round is oversubscribed. That's all for the VC Minute, Frank.
Thanks so much, Rich. Really great advice for anyone raising a round or thinking about raising a round. Next up, we've got our Director of Partnerships, Jacqui Dietrich, who will provide some updates from our wonderful partners in our partner program.
Hello, everyone. It's Jacqui Dietrich from the Partnerships team here at Established with a few noteworthy items from our ecosystem. You'll find links to all of the details in today's show notes. From the Air Force, that's right, the Air Force, a program for startups to test the feasibility of their commercial solution with Air Force customers. It's a 3-month contract worth up to $50K in non-dilutive funding, and it's an open solicitation, so you can propose any solution. The deadline is October 22nd. Hundreds of contracts will be awarded, so just don't wait until the last day to submit your proposal. From our friends at Centropolis in Southeast Michigan, there's an opportunity to join the nation's first Industry 4.0 accelerator program. It will globally crowdsource manufacturing efficiency technologies to partner with Michigan-based manufacturing firms. It's up to a $110,000 investment, coaching by industry experts, and introductions to manufacturers and customers. Finally, Mass Challenge has a number of applications open for early stage startups. These accelerators are located in a number of locations, including Texas, Mexico, and others, in industry verticals, including health tech and fintech. It's a zero equity model and a global network with nearly 2,500 alumni and over $6 billion raised. All of these partners helped us get startups to the top 100 for Startup of the Year this year with our summit in November. So thanks for your partnership. Links for all of these programs and how to get in touch with us about partnerships are in the show notes.
Thanks so much, team. Great information as always. Now I'm going to share a little bit about what's happening at Startup of the Year. We've got our annual summit coming up November 16th through 18th. You're not going to want to miss it. So go to startupoftheyear.com or go to summit.startupoftheyear.com and learn more about it. We've got 100 startups that will be participating in this pitch competition during the event. They've all been, down selected from the thousands that apply for our competition every year. We've got, those companies are going to pitch a group of expert investors and other participants and be down selected to the top 5, which will pitch at the finals on the last day. And we'll name the Startup of the Year. Startup of the Year gets obviously the opportunity to call themselves Startup of the Year, along with a lot of built relationships through the last, several weeks we've worked with them, as well as at the summit, and not to mention an opportunity at a potential investment from Established Ventures. So lots at stake. It's going to be pretty exciting. Some great people involved as judges, as well as the startups are phenomenal. We've looked at all of them over the course of the last few months. Really great stuff coming out. Really, especially during the this time that's really been tough for a lot of people with the pandemic. These innovators have been continuing to push forward with their products, and it's really a blessing to see that these great companies are pushing forward. So also at the summit, though, not just startups. We'll be seeing some great thought leaders share their stories, as well as people like Tim Draper. He's a venture capitalist legend. He'll be sharing his story and kind of some of the fun things he's run into through his long career of investing. We've got entrepreneur and author Kara Golden, who's an accidental entrepreneur, she calls herself. And, basically she started Hint Water. It's that tasty water that has 0 sugar and is really amazing. And she's also got a new book called Undaunted. So she'll be talking about her new book and kind of her journey in starting that company. We've got entrepreneur Mike Evans. He's going to be sharing his candid story behind starting Grubhub. He developed the first product and prototype and led it to an IPO. He's going to share that story, as well as his new startup, Fixer.com, and his forthcoming book, Hangry. So lots going on with Mike Evans. And then we've also got author and entrepreneur Rohit Bhargava. He will share the learnings from his latest book, which actually is the culmination of 10 years of non-obvious trend books. He's now got the non-obvious megatrends book. And I'm excited to catch up with him, and he's got some really good insights about what to look for as we look into our crystal balls going forward. We've got author and basically a specialist in the digital realm, Meredith Feynman. She's a digital publicist for many people. She helps with tips about how to basically get your stuff out there and brag better. She's got a new book called Brag Better. We've got author Whitney Johnson, she's also an investor. She's going to tell us how to disrupt ourselves with her newest book, Disrupt Yourself. And there's so many more. I can't even list it all of them at one time. There's just so many more. So you're going to get a chance to see some amazing things. If you go to register right now, it's complimentary on us. Startup of the Year would love to have you there, as well as would Establish. Go to EST/Summit 2020 and get a chance to be a part of this great community. We're continuing to cultivate and build. This year's summit will also highlight some veterans. We're excited about veterans and everything that they've been able to do for this country, and we appreciate it. So we wanted to create a new program this year and working with .US, and we created the .US Veteran Startup of the Year category. So in partnership with .US, we'll be giving away a $10,000 non-dilutive cash prize given to the best veteran startup founded by a U.S. veteran, spouse, or dependent. Our partner is also giving away free .US domains. So if you have an idea or think you might want to shorten your current domain, or maybe you're thinking about doing something someday, go out there and claim your domain right now. You can go out and get that domain going, and hopefully it's your dream domain. So go to right now. You go to soty.link/.us plus soty.link.us plus, and it's actually going to be in the show notes as well. So don't worry about that, and you can go get your domain and get it going right away. Okay, now let's catch up with Dawn Dickson-Akpoghene, coming at us from Columbus, Ohio, with her new company, PopCom. Hey, Dawn, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a long time. Great to see you, and thanks for jumping on the podcast with us. So I wanted to jump in and just kind of start with how we met. And back in the Startup of the Year days, you had a company called Flat Out of Heels. And can you kind of share a little bit more about that story, about the company and your experience there?
Yeah, definitely. So Flat Out of Heels, we're still in business. It'll be 10 years in April.
Oh, it's nice.
Ballet flats for women when their feet hurt in heels. And so you can't relate, but I know your wife can.
They do get sore, but I don't wear heels normally.
They do get sore.
Yeah.
But they're, for women to carry and put in their purse, or just for high heel emergencies. And my idea was to sell them in vending machines and be able to scale that, and so we can buy them in machines when their feet hurt the most. And I needed to raise money. And I was living in Miami at the time, and I heard of, Tech Cocktail and in the pitch competition. So I signed up and I was accepted to pitch, and that's where we met. Was when you were going around the country for the first startup of the year. So I actually pitched on stage for the very first startup of the year.
Wow, that's amazing. 2013, probably.
Yeah, I was there. Yes,
Wow.
And I came in third, and I remember it was my first time really pitching on a big stage, and they asked me a question I never heard of before. That was the first time I ever heard of lifetime value. So literally, Q&A, they were like, "Hey, what's the lifetime value of your customer?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And then I said, "Our customers will be with us for life because they love the product."
Yep, great. Yeah, on the fly, you got to just make something up. Yeah.
What does lifetime value mean? So, it was such a great experience for me, which certainly led to a lot of opportunities for me in starting PopCom and now where I am today.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing that story. And I didn't know that, actually. So that's a new one. And so also, you started that company 10 years ago, you ran it for a while, and then you came in and you figured out another niche kind of in a similar space, but just tangentially over. And that's your current company, which is now PopCom. Can you share that kind of how that happened and where it is now?
As I said, for Flat Out, my idea was to sell flat outs and vending machines. I felt like that was the best direct to customer distribution channel for women when their feet hurt. You need it now. And I thought to myself, why don't more retail brands use vending machines in general to sell their products, especially something that's like an on the go or on demand product? And so I said, okay, let me do this. I'm going to pioneer this. And so when Flat Out, I did long story short, figure my way around, getting a vending machine in the market. And that's when I realized the real problem, and I experienced the problem. And just like Flat Out, where I experienced the problem of my feet hurting, for PopCom, I experienced the problem of me being a retailer, selling my product in vending machines and not being able to get any data, not being able to get an email address, not being able to remarket or retarget, not being able to bring them into my sales funnel, having no idea how my machine was performing. So therefore, I could not scale this business. And at first, my thought was, let me go find a company to partner with to make my machine smarter. I did not intend on going down the whole rabbit hole of creating software. But after spending 2 years looking for a solution that would help me to grow Flat Out through vending, I didn't find it. And then I said, okay, this is a really big opportunity to build something big that can scale globally in technology and to really make an impact and actually revolutionize an entire industry with technology, which is the automated retail industry. So I stepped down as CEO of Flat Out, and then now I'm CEO of PopCom, building software that not only for vending machines, but also for kiosks that we order products from, and then for lockers where we pick up products from.
That's really cool. And I never thought of that. I guess you don't get any data. There's no way to connect with the customer after they've purchased something, really.
No, less than 5% had a CRM system. You have to manually go and check inventory. There's no remote access. Everything is just so archaic compared to what we are used to in the e-commerce environment.
No, that makes sense. Really cool. So with that company, you spun out, you created this company. I think I read somewhere or heard that you went and joined Techstars in LA, right? Or was that the next step?
Because actually, as a part of me winning my third place in Startup of the Year,
that's right. You got an intro.
With David Cohen. And that's when I really met him and got familiar with Techstars. So fast forward 2 years later, I did get accepted to Techstars and under PopCom, Techstars Los Angeles. So that was 2017. But I met them at the Startup of the Year.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm glad to see that we're tying those loose ends. I had no idea that's how that happened. So really cool. Even cooler. I was just going to ask, so how was that experience going, where were you at the time? You were in Miami still?
So at the time, I was living in LA, and that's why I the LA program. It was a general program, so not specialized in a particular center. And it was a really great experience because for me, I was still coming off of Flat Out. So I'm really heavy in retail. Everything I was doing in tech at the time was tech for retail as far as using tools in e-commerce. So I didn't know how to build a software business. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to really figure out my business model, product market fit, or how to really scale a technology company like this. So Techstars helped me to really get the foundation and then learn how to build a team, raise money. I raised my first $1 million during that time of Techstars or immediately following Techstars. So it was just an amazing foundation also to validate me as a founder. Coming from the Midwest or the South, at this time especially, they were not looking at founders anywhere outside of the coast. It was very difficult if you were not in those areas. So for me, being from the Midwest, born and raised, went to Ohio State, not a heavy tech background, Techstars really helped to really verify me as a founder to be able to move forward.
Well, that makes sense. And then, so you built this company there, and then, you moved the company back to your hometown, which is where Ohio State is, in Columbus, Ohio, and that's where you are now, right?
I am in my office right now, this very moment.
What was the driver for going home?
Yeah, so after Techstars, right, literally the same week of my demo day, that's when the Steve Case and Rise of the Rest was making its way around other cities that get overlooked. Right. And I applied for Rise of the Rest in Columbus, and because I'm from there, yep. and I made it. So, and I got accepted. So I went after demo day, Techstars, 2 days later, pitched on the stage, Rise of the Rest. I didn't win, but all of the local VCs and all of the investors were in the audience. So after I got off the stage, they said, I love this and we'll invest in your round. Right. And so several Ohio, Columbus and Ohio investors came together and they put in about 700,000. So it was just to come and build my company here. But in hindsight, which it was a blessing because, cost of rent is low, cost of living, cost of talent. So It was really easier for me to scale a company that was really capital intensive, like hardware, coming from, staying in a city that you don't have to spend so much just to survive.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And we're, as what we do with Start the Year, we're always looking for companies everywhere, not just the coast. And so definitely resonates with us and what we're all about. But and obviously being a Big Ten school there, I went to a Big Ten school as well. And so I love it. And so I guess I saw you on the Rise of the Rest. I remember running into you in Columbus when you were pitching, and I saw your pitch. It was really, really great. So I'm glad to hear that all kind of worked out. Now I'm kind of understanding the storyline of how it all came together. So, because I remember I was running out of town while you were running into. I saw you pitch, had to run because I was that timing of I think I might have I had a really young child at the time, so I was kind of trying to relieve the little one relieve my wife of the little one and get home. So, all right, so let's keep going though. You kind of blazed the path. You talked about it briefly in a couple parts there, but you kind of blazed the path from a funding perspective. You've raised some money. You raised some money from local VCs as well as using some other ways as well. So now that you're in Columbus, can you talk about that raise and how you've done it? I know you've been. I think you were like the first one to ever raise a certain kind of amount of funding on certain platforms. Can you talk about that?
Yes, for sure. So my first round, I've definitely went the traditional route after Techstars and raised the first $1 million from accredited angels, institutional capital, accelerators, and venture capital. Right. And was one of the first 25 African-American women to raise over $1 million in that way. Right. And then, we came into a lot of bumps in the road, as many startups do. We ran out of runway. We were out of money. We were, trying to figure out ways to continue to grow. We did not, our investors weren't really following on as fast as we needed. And then I started looking at other ways to raise capital. And that's where crowdfunding comes in. So long story short, I became the first female founder of any race to raise over $1 million in an equity crowdfunding campaign, a Reg CF under the Jobs Act, which allows startups to raise money from both accredited and non-accredited investors. I use really cool. the platform. Yeah, so I used Start Engine to raise that money.
So which platform did you use, just so everyone's aware?
Yes, so I used Start Engine, and Start Engine we raised around 2019 for $1,070,000. We raised around this year that we closed in May for $1 million, and we're actually raising money now. We have an open round currently now today on Start Engine.
Okay, so anybody who wants to could go into that account or that place and go and fund you. What's the lowest amount, I guess, minimum that somebody could fund you for?
The minimum is $250, and it's really easy. It's like shopping online, but you're actually, purchasing equity in a company. So I love this new way that allows startups of any type of startup, not just a tech company, but any type of startup can raise capital and leverage your crowd, your community, your supporters that are accredited and unaccredited. So this is a Reggae Plus, which is a little bit different. It's a new type of crowdfunding.
Right. And so those investors now are they all on your cap table, or how does that work? Do you have how many do you have? Thousands of investors? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, people think that's actually a great question. People just assume that I have 4,800 people on my cap table.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I have 2 line items on my cap table that represent those individual raises. So it's like a syndicate house handled. So 2019 one, a 2020 one, and then another.
Very cool. That's really, really cool. So I think that's a great option for anybody that's like starting up, that's listening. That could be a great way for them to get out there and raise some funds if they're having trouble with the classic methods. And
it's a great a way to use for friends and family rounds. It's great for bridge rounds. Now with Reggae Plus, you can raise up to $50 million. So people are using it as their Series A in a lot of instances. So the Reggae Plus is the maximum is $1.07 million. So that's best served as like a friends and family or a seed or a bridge. But the Reggae Plus up to 50 million, that's a substantial amount of money that can really get a startup very far.
Yeah, I'd say that's really cool. And so what's been the kind of things you've learned from that process? Because I think you're very unique in that you've been able to do this and do it very well. You've heard of Kickstarter and some of these other ways that, people are trying to fund their thing. And a lot of times you hear that it's very much a marketing exercise more than actually a funding exercise. Can you share what you've been using, or what's helped make you so successful?
Thanks. So it is very much so reliant on marketing, advertising, and then leveraging your network. So I over the years, I didn't know I was going to crowdfund, but all the steps that I was taking prepared me for this, because I had built my own personal email list. And so I was already sending out monthly or quarterly updates to my list of people that I meet as I go to conferences. Even people that I met at Startup of the Year. You meet people and you're like, oh, you're cool, we have things in common, or maybe we can work together, but then you don't know what to do right away. So I just created a list back in 2014, and I say, let me add you to my update list, keep you updated with what's going on, and if something comes up, then we can work together. So I would send out updates, news we're in, what I'm working on, challenges I'm having, and people began to be really connected with me. And so when I started raising capital, I leveraged that community that I built over years. I also made a point, and I think it's so important for all founders to make a point to be a thought leader in your industry. So I position myself to be a thought leader by writing blogs, contributing to publications in my industry, always talking on social media, sharing information about my industry. So that also created an audience and a community of people that thought I was trustworthy. So it's on top of building trust, on top of building credibility. And then when I went to raise a crowdfunding campaign, I didn't come out of nowhere with, hey, give me money. They had been seeing me for years, working and making progress and being transparent about the process, the good things and the bad things. And that made them feel comfortable to invest their own dollars.
Well, that makes sense. That's really cool. I think it's something that's an art, and I don't think people are kind of, think it's easy. It's not, and you're doing a great job with it. So
also we've leveraged Facebook ads, which have been tremendous on a return for us. So you don't have to be like a very high profile or very visible founder in order to get your message across, because of tools that exist that can get your campaign in front of the right people based on targeting. So that's also helpful.
Right. So we'll share the link in our show notes for sure. We'll get that link from you for the current open round, and anybody that's listening that wants to be a part of the journey here with your company, your new company, they can be a part of it. So that's really cool.
Them on Start Engine.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the product. I love product. We talked a lot about funding. We went down that rabbit hole. Let's dive back into the product. It's it's a really smart vending machine. I'm curious now about, what does that mean? What have you built that's unique, and who can use it, and all that?
Yeah, definitely. So actually our product is software. We consider ourselves to be a SaaS company, and we build software for hardware. And in order for us to demonstrate the full power and capabilities of our software, we built hardware called the Pop Shop, which is a very unique type of vending machine that can dispense products, but not only that, can deliver our software, which is our secret sauce. And what makes our software special is that we use facial recognition, machine learning, and blockchain technology to gather customer data at the point of sale. What we do for vending machines is very much what Google Analytics does for websites. So we don't take any identifying information, but the way that Google Analytics takes the IP address of your shopper and tells you if that IP address has been there before, how long they spent, if they converted, we consider the human body the IP address in this instance. And so we don't take identity, but we'll say, this is a human being. This is their approximate age, their approximate gender, up to 92% accuracy. So in your case, say this is a male, he's an adult. So we're not going to get your exact age, but a male adult.
Yeah, don't tell anybody that. No one wants to hear that.
You're not a senior citizen.
No.
You're a male adult.
Okay.
And how are you engaging? How are you? Did you convert? How many people walk by the machine? What is the demographic makeup of the people that walk by? What's the makeup of people that actually are shopping with you, to help retailers get a really great snapshot of who their customers are for the first time? Also integrating things like lead generation, social sharing, digital receipts that also prompt you to share, surveys. There's a lot of opportunities to do gamification. Just anything you can do in the e-commerce environment, you can now do on our machine. And the two cameras are what brings all that data into our dashboard. But we also, the real kicker is, our software can be integrated in multiple types of hardware, not just our pop shop. The reason we did the pop shop was to show what we can do.
Right.
But the way we scale is by integrating our software into as many hardware coming to the market as possible. So my vision is to be like the Windows, the vending machines, where you get a laptop and it's Windows on there, unless you're getting a Mac. I want it to be like, you get a vending machine or a kiosk, there's the PopCom system that's preloaded, and then you can use that, you can pick the different options that you want to really maximize your data collection abilities.
That's unbelievable. You're also reading my mind. My follow-up question to that was, can you swap out the hardware with whatever you like to be able to use this unique software? So that's great. I love the approach. I think it's really smart, because you don't want to be that hardware company that you're positioned in a much better way as a SaaS company.
We partner with hardware manufacturers, so we actually don't build any hardware at all. We don't build it, manage it, service it, insure it. Our hardware manufacturing partner does all that, and then then we just make sure that the software is working on our side. And then I left out an important part about our product is the advertising. So our goal is to turn all of these vending machines, there's 9 million machines in the US, 18 million in the world, turn these machines into basically real estate that is delivering advertisements and monetizing beyond just selling a product. Because if you think about, everywhere you go, there's a vending machine, but it's not doing anything but selling Coca-Cola or something.
Right. Yep.
Delivering ads, sharing information. It could be much more interactive. So we want to help these retailers in these spaces monetize more than just product sales.
That kind of reminds me of, you go to put gasoline in your car, unless you drive a Tesla, or some other electric vehicle. You put gasoline in your car and there's that monitor that kind of starts trying to talk to you and tell you stuff. Is that what you're thinking? Like trying to make those things smart?
Gas pump, and you're watching a commercial because you have no choice. You're standing right there.
Right, exactly. I'm standing there.
Idea, and that's exactly what we're doing to, take advantage of the real estate that so many machines take up across the world.
Interesting. Couple follow-up questions. And this maybe not the right place. You're not building actual hardware, but I'm thinking about like fresh foods and things like that in vending machines. Is that something you guys have to think about or tackle versus is that more like a hardware question? Where like if I want to get a salad out of a vending machine or whatever.
We partner with manufacturers that build all types of hardware. So we do have refrigeration refrigerated machines that could be integrated with our software. We're doing that right now for a beverage company that's using our software. They have a refrigerated machine, actually 2 companies that sell beverages. So any type of machine that you can really think of, we can deliver with our software integrated.
Right. And some might, that's really interesting. Some might think that like the mechanism of the vending machine is outdated, but then all of a sudden COVID hits and I don't want to talk to anyone, right? Or you look at Amazon, they're building shops where you don't have to pay for anything. You just go and swipe it or whatever. So I feel like, is that first off, 2 questions there. How has COVID kind of hit you guys as far as like, has it helped you, hurt you? And then what are you guys seeing?
COVID's definitely helped our company and also just the overall automated retail industry because of what you said. People looking for frictionless, cashless, touchless, retail and ordering food on your phone or on a kiosk or, picking it up at a designated space or in a locker or ordering it online and picking it up from a machine or just not having as much human contact. So even though we don't build hardware, we certainly made sure that the hardware that we work with is current with the life we live now with COVID. So you can use the machines we deliver. You can use them with a pen, a glove, a stylus. You don't have to touch them with your hands. You don't have to worry about germs, since that's a big thing that we're thinking about, just surfaces and touching surfaces. But the way that it impacted our business the most was that we moved our supply chain from China to the United States. So now all of our products are manufactured in the United States, which is, better for us as far as speed of delivering the product. And then, we never know what's going on in the political environment these days. And we don't want our customers caught in the middle of that when it comes to getting their product in their hands. So we're bringing it here to the US and we build things in Connecticut now.
Oh, I love it. Love to hear that it's in the United States. That's amazing. So I guess little silver lining. I'm sure there's been, nothing's been perfect right now, right, with the pandemic. But
learning how to adapt is really critical for everyone, especially companies.
Right. No, definitely. Okay. So let's see what else. You've been able to manage through raising this through a number of different funds. You're managing not the question I had before is like you're not managing 2,000 investors, managing just a couple. You're raising this round right now. Where is that going to take you guys as far as what from a trajectory, and what's kind of on the horizon for what you're up to?
Yeah, awesome. So we're launching with our first 20 to 30 machines in the first quarter of 2021. And what we did put in place in response to COVID and the impact that it had on retailers who are our customers is we introduced a lease program. And that wasn't in our initial business model because that will require us to purchase all of the hardware and then lease it out with monthly payments. And as a startup, I felt that was just very capital intensive, but we're raising capital to be able to do that because our retailers, our customers, they definitely took a hit and they may not have $20,000 to drop on a machine or to try something new when they're just trying to struggle to stay in business.
Right.
So this round will allow us to aggressively roll out our lease strategy and offer the Pop Shop and any other vending machine to our retailers as fast as possible and get them in business. We have to make some key hires, hiring a CTO, hiring a couple people in product, hiring several full stack developers. And so it just allows us to scale, gets us a couple of years of runway. I mean, at our current run rate, it gets us 36 months, but we want to burn more. We see if we can be as aggressive as we like, it'll get us about 20 months. And then we'll look at when our next round will be, whether it's a strategic round with a institutional investor or, opportunity to take advantage of the crowd again. And there's many forms to do that.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about what drives you. Who are some mentors that have kind of like kept you going and kind of put you where you are?
I have a lot of great people in my life that really pushed me. I would say the first person that comes to my mind is Brian Burkeen, formerly of Kairos, and now he is the managing partner of Lightship Capital. He was the first person to say that my idea was a good idea to put face recognition on vending machines, because my first thought was, I saw Kairos, his company, at a conference counting people walking by the conference booth. And I said, put that on a vending machine to help retailers understand their traffic? And he's like, nobody ever asked me about that. That's a great idea. That, you should try it. And it was just me by myself. There was no one else. And he immediately became an advisor. At this point, he was a very well-known founder, had raised many millions of dollars, and I'm just with an idea. So he definitely came behind me and helped me to start. And now he's a board member. We also have, Jeff Hoffman, who everyone knows him from Priceline fame, from being one of the co-founders of Priceline. But Jeff was actually the person responsible for putting the airport kiosks, that program. He rolled that out. And so just having his guidance on how to introduce kiosks and really get an industry to completely change the way they do business. If you think about before kiosks, you were going in line, getting your ticket from the airline employee. They're tagging your bags. They're doing everything for you. Even if you need a ticket to wait in line. Now we're tagging our own bags. And so having his guidance on how to completely innovate and disrupt an entire industry has been very, very helpful. And the last person, not last because there's many, but Angela Benton for sure. She now is a founder of Streamlytics, but she was a founder of a accelerator called New Me. And they were the first accelerator to take me as a Black female founder, not tech background, living in Miami, to teach me how to really build a financial model and start to raise capital.
Great. Those are some great mentors. But it is Jeff Hoffman who's responsible for me tagging my own bag. So I'm going to have to follow up with him about that.
You know what? I was not happy about that tag. I'm going to say, I said, okay, I'll print the ticket, but now you're making me work.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So let's dive into some advice you'd give to any other startup founders that are out there right now that are listening.
My number one advice is always trust yourself. I like to say you know more than you think you do. A lot of times we second guess ourselves, especially when we have an idea that's not common or that's new or innovative. And so when I started thinking about talking about vending, this is back in 2013, 14, and this was the time of the apps. I call it the planet of the apps. Everybody wanted the app. Everybody wanted a subscription model box. I remember even when David Cohen told take Flat Out to make it a subscription box. And I was like, what? Right. So, everyone told me my idea wasn't good. It wasn't scalable. I didn't have a big enough industry, but I knew something within me told me, and who knew in 2020, we can't touch people anymore.
I know, right? No one did.
You know what I mean? Like, who would have known? So I had to trust that voice within me saying, don't give up. It's not a bad idea. It's not the right time, but by the time it is the right time, you'll be ready. And so keep building. And so that's my advice is to trust yourself. You got this. If it's the idea that you have, you're the best one to execute. It doesn't matter how many competitors there are. Your idea is unique. The way you do it is unique, and never give up. Because I feel like the only way to fail is to quit. And I just don't quit. And that's my advice to everybody.
And that's, I think, I love seeing you speak and share these stories, and you can definitely see that you're not going to give up. So I love that about you. So let's just end with a couple. Got anything special you want to share that's new? Any plugs for the company or anything you're working on?
I mean, on top of the fact that we're raising capital, another round, startengine.com/PopCom. I'm really excited that we've made some tremendous headway in the regulated retail space. So we're the first company in the history of America to have a software solution approved to dispense alcohol and vending machines without a human.
Wow.
So this market, I can't say who our marquee customer is, but it's a very big alcohol beverage company in the United States. Yeah. We're rolling it out next year with them, but it's just going to change the alcohol industry in the regulated retail space. And that was something that was very dear to me, was figuring out a way to disrupt industries, make things better for certain industries. And so that's super exciting.
Definitely. And I don't know if you followed, but like the last few years, the alcohol consumption has been going like this. I think that's a good, good way to this year it's gone like
I'm sure it hasn't slowed up.
Right. It's gone up. So all right. So but obviously everyone drink responsibly, and you have to be of age. All right, so let's go with the final thoughts. How can anybody get a hold of you if they wanted to contact you or learn more about what you're doing? You mentioned the link on Start Engine. What else?
Definitely, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is LinkedIn/Dawn Dickson. I answer the messages. I'm in that inbox like it's my email. That's where I do all my networking, and you can definitely get in touch with me there. I share a lot on Twitter. So definitely follow me on Twitter under the Dawn Dickson, and then, check out PopCom. We have a lot of cool things going on, and we're on all social media channels as PopCom SaaS starting software.
And your domain is unique. It's popcom.shop, if I remember correctly.
Popcom.shop, and our products Pop Shop. So just wanted to keep it all in that, in that
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Dawn, for joining us. Really great to catch up. Great to see you, and definitely keep on moving. You're doing great stuff. Thank you so much. All right. I always love hearing from startup founders and their stories, especially people like Dawn Dickson-Akpoghene. She's got a great story and has continued to build new products. She's started multiple companies, has raised a lot of funds, and she's a minority as well as a woman. And it's pretty amazing to see what she's been able to do. And I'm hoping that by sharing this story, it'll inspire other people to go out and do things that maybe they've been thinking they can't do. I mean, it's a very inspirational, motivational story. And I'm excited that she's been a part of our program, and we love to continue to support her in everything she does. So thank you, Dawn. Really appreciate your time. And we're obviously here to help. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Remember to subscribe to our show, and please review it, because we won't know how we're doing unless you review it. And we also like to read feedback. So if you get a chance and wanted to share some insights, or maybe you want us to think about doing something different, leave us a review. We'll be out there looking at those reviews and answering them. We can't do it without the feedback and the support of you guys all listening. So thank you for listening, and we'll continue to make this a better program for everyone. Finally, if you have a startup idea and you want to get it out there and get it going today, remember, today is the best day to start up, not tomorrow, not the next day. And I'm not saying just launch it. You got to start with something. You got to start writing it down in your notebook, iterating on those ideas, talking to other people, thinking about how you might seed this product, get that prototype going. It's all baby steps, one day at a time, but it all starts with today. So get it out there, get it going. And until next time, I'm Frank Gruber signing off. Stay safe out there and be well, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Startup of the Year podcast. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode soon.